just so you know, we're live on YouTube at this moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Parina, do we need to test my audio and my video on YouTube? Or
I
not a
think
video, the slides.
my team is checking that just to see it's working on the YouTube live stream link right now. So I'll let you know.
But I would think they do need to see it shared as well.
Can you ask Dr. Coleman also to say something? And you say
Can we just like practice having a conversation just to make sure it's?
Of course. Yeah.
I don't
Hear?
think. Yeah, I can hear you. I don't think you need to share anything extra. I think everything should transfer on from Riverside.
I think it doesn't hurt to try.
Okay. Wait. So, what exactly are you trying to?
I'll do the same sharing my screen that I just did, and you can see that if it's showing up on the YouTube.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Okay. There we go.
She's sharing her screen, so make sure you can see that. Yeah, she shared her screen. For everyone who just came, thank you for being here, and we'll get started very shortly. Can you guys see the share screen? Yes, they can see the share screen.
now she can go up. We'll call her. She can
Now
join
you
at
can,
11:15.
you can mute until 11:15.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you
Great.
for your patience, Dr.
Oh,
Coleman, as we were
congratulations. It's complicated. And boy, it's just like this on the space station where everything should work, but then sometimes it doesn't. And then you have to try to be so calm. And you guys have done great. So,
And
talk to
we
you
wanted
soon.
to make it also work on YouTube, you know, and we have, if I may show you, we have,
Yay.
despite a heavy rainfall, despite a heavy downpour, but you're so popular and your book is so popular, so.
I'm so glad. Okay,
thank
I'm looking
you.
forward to it, and I will mute. And Parina, you have my number. And you
Yes,
know,
I have your number.
do me a favor, have you or your parent person or me put us together in a text in case we have some problem. That way we don't have any problem, but I don't have a way to call you or to text
Okay,
you.
yeah, I'll do that right now.
Okay, and do you want me to read
Yeah.
you the number? Well, I don't want to read the number on TV.
Yeah, I have it on from the email.
We have it, yeah.
Okay.
Everything is working.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, wait. Yeah, okay. Wait, can you like memorize? Wait. 83. As people are coming in, thank you for waiting. The event will start very shortly. We're glad that you're here despite the rain.
And we just want to give folks
Oh, wait, I'm not
going
gonna call her.
to
Okay.
trickle in and settle down. But thanks for your patience. Thanks for being here early. And we start exactly at 11:15.
If you haven't already, please enter your name on the raffle. It's a good chance for you to win a copy of the book Sharing Space. At this event, former NASA astronaut Katie Coleman will be sharing insights from her book, Sharing Space, An Astronaut's Guide to Mission, Wonder, and Making Space. Okay. I just got a message. Oh, you sent it to me. Wait, can you like show it to me on your 832 44477?
Hey, Parina.
Yeah.
I can hear you. I can hear you reading.
Okay.
that. Okay. So
Yeah.
don't read it on the air. I can hear
Oh,
you.
sorry,
Yeah.
sorry.
Okay. Gotcha.
If you haven't already, again, just enter your name in the raffle to win a copy of her book, Sharing Space.
You can move the cameras. Remove your laptop. Just move the camera.
Yeah, yeah.
Karina,
Yes.
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I'm just having
Can
trouble
you hear
having my
me?
video come back on.
Oh, okay. Do you want to maybe leave and rejoin?
I think maybe she has the video selected.
Do you have the correct camera selected?
Here we go. See if this helps here.
Did she do the?
Trying to reconnect. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. And I will just go out and in again if I need to.
Okay. Hi, sorry for the delay. We're just trying to get her camera back on, and as soon as that happens, we'll get started.
So I will go ahead. Let's see. I will just go ahead and I think I know it got interrupted. So I'll just go ahead and leave. I think it might be the best thing, Karina.
Okay, sure. We'll be waiting for you here.
Okay. Rats. I'm so sorry. Let me just see if this helps to do this like this. No. Okay. I will just leave.
Should I just announce the beginning?
No.
Did you ask the monitor for more chairs?
No. Just forget about all that.
Hi, we can see you.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing you a little bit blurry. Oh, there it is, coming in.
Yeah. I think it's because I keep moving. I need to stay in place.
Okay.
Can you mute the computer? Okay. Okay, I think we're ready to get started. So I'm going to begin with my little intro.
Can she hear no echo? Right?
You can hear no echo, correct? Okay. So good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here, and welcome to the event, Lessons from Space with a NASA Astronaut. My name is Parina Gupta, and I'm a junior at Amador Valley High School and the founder of the Sustainability Lens, which is a 501c3 youth-led nonprofit dedicated to making climate science clear and accessible in order to drive climate action. This event is independently organized by the Sustainability Lens, and I'm also joined by two of my team members, Ishanvi and Aditya, who are also juniors at Amador Valley High School. Yeah, thank you. We're going to get started with our conversation with Dr. Katie Coleman very soon. And as you know, she's going to be sharing insights from her book, Sharing Space, An Astronaut's Guide to Mission, Wonder, and Making Change. So before we get started, I would like to give a brief introduction of Dr. Katie Coleman. Dr. Katie Coleman is a former NASA astronaut and retired U.S. Air Force colonel. She has spent over 180 days in space across 2 space shuttle missions and a 6-month expedition on the International Space Station, or ISS, where she served as the lead robotics and lead science officer. She's also known for artistic collaborations from space, including her space duet with Ian Anderson of the British rock band Jethro Tull, and her work with the Irish band The Chieftains. She also coached actress Sandra Bullock for her astronaut role in the movie Gravity while she was at the ISS. So Dr. Coleman, thank you so much for being here, and we're really excited to have a conversation with you today. And now the floor is yours, and I would love for you to share your presentation. Oh, you're muted.
Thanks so much. How do you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Great. Well, I just want to say thank you for having me, Parina. It's been nice to chat these past months, trying to find a time, and I think it just sounds like you have I've seen the great group you have gathered there, and more folks online. And both the nice and the, sometimes scary thing is that, this will be online for other people to see. And I'm just so glad that your group asked me to come, and I'm excited to have our interview. I'm just going to share a few slides here, and let's see, we'll just do it just like this. And here. And I think you're probably seeing slides. Does that look good, Prina?
Yes, I can see them.
Great. Well, I just wanted to just give you a sense, a little bit of my life when I was at NASA. And this is my very first launch. I joined NASA in 1992, and this is my first crew. It was a science mission to understand how to build the right space station to be a science laboratory. And so in the back of that space shuttle is a laboratory called the Space Lab. And there were 7 of us on the crew, and that meant 4 scientists, 2 NASA astronauts and 2 payload specialists. And we did about 30 different experiments, and it was just the most amazing mission, 16 days, the longest mission in the history of the space shuttle. And I just remember landing and just, getting ready for landing and just thinking, why are we coming home? There's so much good work to do here. Are you hearing me okay, Parina?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. And I can kind of see you too. If you kind of wave or something, I know you need something from me. Anyways, let's see. I'm just making sure that we're on the right thing here. Okay. And this is that launch, which I think shares the excitement and amazement. And especially on this mission, we had 5 rookies, 2 experienced people, and this is us in that space shuttle. It's the most amazing, and it's a very famous launch shot because we are in that vehicle, and that vehicle is going to space. And I think we did some amazing work there. I wanted to talk about training a little bit, and because we don't just go to these places and just do these things. And especially, I think everyone needs to follow their own passion about what they want to study. But it led to then suddenly for me, after applying, which I'm sure we'll talk more about, being at NASA with 23 other people who had dreamed of having this kind of this kind of adventure and this kind of work and being part of the mission. And Karina, I actually hear kind of some static, and I don't know if you can mute from that end. It might be good.
Yes, I'll mute.
There you go. Okay. And so just to show you some of the things we got to do, remember, I mean, I didn't really explain that in college I studied chemistry. And then in the Air Force, I was a chemist working on new materials for airplanes. And suddenly I am flying in those airplanes and using them as simulators for, the very dangerous and demanding environment of space where you have to have practiced, learned, and practiced doing these things when you feel really nervous and when something really happens, I mean, you really feel that. So this is the training for doing those things, learning how to parachute, learning everything about flying those jets, flying faster than the speed of sound. We don't do that often because it uses a lot of gas, so only when necessary. But for me, that was quite an education going from being a chemist to then being in this very operational environment where you have to really measure how you yourself are performing and can perform and be really brutally honest with yourself and other people about those capabilities. I got to learn some more. Not everybody gets to do these things, but I was lucky enough to be actually the alternate for someone going to Antarctica and living for 6 weeks in a tent doing meteorite hunting. And that person was Sunny Williams, who the good news is the reason she couldn't go is she went to the space station instead. And I got to go to Antarctica and learn a lot of lessons about what it takes to really get a mission accomplished. There were 4 of us living about 200 miles from the South Pole. And none of these teams, none of my teams, none of your teams, literally the only person that you pick in life is your partner. And your partner's going to have family. I mean, so we don't get to pick our teams, and it's I think that what I learned on these adventures, living underwater in the Aquarius habitat for 11 days and getting to do research there, some research on telerobotic surgery, which was very exciting and was really interesting for Mars missions later on, and getting ready for lunar missions and what are the technologies that we need, what are the demands of how the suits will fit, how the hardware functions. And that led to those things are all kind of mixed up in training, but I just wanted to share my second flight, which was on Columbia again on the shuttle. And this is our 5-person crew. On the left is Eileen Collins. And then we've got an astronomer, a pilot, another pilot, and me, a chemist. And I am in charge, along with Michelle Tonini to my left, of deploying the Chandra X-ray Observatory. That's a telescope that tells us literally everything we know about black holes. And Eileen, it was the first time for a woman to be the commander of the space shuttle, which was quite a feat. And at the same time, women have probably been ready to have those roles for a long, long time. And I really learned a lot about leadership from Eileen. And this is our launch. I'll show just a few seconds, but take a look at those engine bells. As the engines light, something very exciting happened. I'll show you in a second. And then this is in the first few seconds now, we are leaving the launch pad. And just as we cross the launch pad, the tower there, we are already going 100 miles an hour. And it's about right this exact moment that Eileen said, Houston, Columbia, we're in the roll, and we see a fuel cell pH #1. And you don't hear any noise from the launch there, but that was a very critical electrical failure. And it turns out, I'll skip ahead here, we also had a leak in one of our main engines. And you can go and read about STS-93 on the internet. You can watch and listen to the conversations at Mission Control. But I certainly learned a lot on that flight, as did everyone on the ground as well. It's known as one of the most dangerous space shuttle flights that did not end in an accident. And I put that down to the performance of the team on the ground and also the team in space, and one of the reasons we're ready for that is that we did that training. We practiced together. We made hard decisions together, and we got ourselves to orbit with the power of the team on the ground, keeping us safe. And our space, all the problems were from Ascent, and so now we had a perfectly good space shuttle to be deploying the Chandra X-ray Observatory. There it is in space. Here it is being launched. It's got a big rocket on its rear end, and I won't show you the whole deploy here, but you'll just see it launching from the space shuttle, and then Eileen pilots the space shuttle away, and then we back away and let Chandra go on her next phase of flight, which is to fire that big inertial upper stage and end up in an orbit a third of the way to the moon. So very far away and not easily reached to be fixed. Here's our telescope, a picture I took, which is in focus. I'm very proud of that. On the left, you see sort of blurry X-ray images of Cassiopeia A, a supernova. And on the right, you see just incredible resolution of not only Chandra, but other telescopes that add to that picture. And Chandra even contributed to the first image of a black hole, not taking the image, but actually helping other telescopes understand when and where to be able to take that image. So it was amazing to be part of such a long mission, and one that has so many consequences. That we deployed that telescope in 1999. It was supposed to work for 5 years. It is still the one and only X-ray instrument that teaches us literally about almost everything we know about black holes. They hate it when I say that because it's not exactly correct, but I urge you to go to the Chandra website and see what kinds of things we do learn from an X-ray telescope that can't be learned from others. And then I just wanted to tell, and I know, Parina, we need to jump on to our interview, but I'll just spend just like 3 minutes here showing you. I have to say, every mission is amazing, but I loved living on the International Space Station. In this picture, you see the space shuttle on the left and the space station there. You see the Earth below, and it made me feel like, I always knew I'd go to space. I thought I'd feel like I was somewhere else, but Earth is always so close in a way, and it just made me feel like home is just bigger than we thought. I mean, this is part of our home as well. My home, your home. And so it's amazing to be up there and actually really live there. This is our crew, myself, Dimitri Kondratiev from Russia, Paolo Nespoli from Italy. When we get up there, we join 3 more people. Scott Kelly on the right there, you might recognize, along with our his Russian cosmonaut crewmates. And then the 6 of us are, and this is our last minute and a half, Parina, and we'll get on to questions. This is just a little video with no sound. I'm the sound that shows us launching from Kazakhstan in the Russian Soyuz. Our spaceship is inside that sort of protective casing of the rocket. We're at the very top there, and that's me, kind of grainy video, waving. Here we are coming in to dock with the International Space Station. And this is the most fantastic moment, I think, of just being able to fly. And really, and I say moment, but that's what life was like for 159 days for me, doing science experiments. I mean, we can't actually, it's not like being in microgravity just happens once. It's your life the whole time. It's a new kind of life, and yet you're a person. You bring your own personality, your own skills, your own issues, those kinds of things. We'll probably talk about those, and your own view of the Earth out the cupola windows. And this is that view looking at the Earth in all its glory. We don't see, there's Orion rising above the Earth there. We don't always see the northern lights, or in this case, the southern lights. But in this video right here is very fast, but it does just show you what it's like to cross the Earth and see that thin green line. That is the atmosphere that protects our Earth from everything that would do it harm. And so that is the only protection we have from space. And here's the space station there at the end. And I will stop sharing, Karina, and I would love to answer any of your questions.
Hi, can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you so much for that wonderful presentation. Those were some very cool experiences, and I'm sure we'll get to hear more about them. But now we can dive right into the interview, and I'll pass it over to Aditya for the first question.
And Parina, do you see me?
Yes, I can see you.
Okay, good. Okay, oh, I'm following directions. Even astronauts have to follow the directions. Bring the call back here. Okay, I'm doing that. We'll see what happens. There we go. It looks more normal now.
Okay. Here we go.
Yeah, so after that presentation, we were wondering when you first realized that becoming an astronaut was a real possibility for you, especially in a field where women are already underrepresented, and how did that shape your path from studying chemistry to joining the Air Force?
Well, those things kind of happen all together, but I will say the first thing is it's not that I thought, oh, there's no women, I can't do this. It just never occurred to me to be an astronaut until I saw someone when I was at MIT, when I was a junior. Sally Ride, the first American woman astronaut, came and spoke, and just seeing her on that stage made an impression on me where I just thought, well, if she can do that, maybe I can try to do that. And so it's not that I felt like, oh, I'd like to do that, but I don't see too many women. It just never occurred to me. And not everyone, not all of us need that kind of sort of having a path that you see other people on and you realize you could join too. But I would say most of us, it makes a difference. And that's why I really love studying history now and finding out that there have been women and people of color and all sorts of people you don't necessarily always see in the history books. They have been leading the way, and it's really encouraging to me to go back and notice them. And a real quick answer to your Air Force question, I was already studying chemistry at MIT, and the only way I could do that actually was using an Air Force ROT scholarship. And for that, the exchange was that I would spend at least 4 years in the Air Force. And I studied what I wanted to study. And then in graduate school, I took a little time off and went to graduate school. So I had a handshake with the Air Force that I would come after graduate school. I paid for my graduate school, they didn't. And that was in polymer science and engineering. And so you're hearing this progression of picking the things that you just understand that there's something about them that speaks to you and that you'd like to pursue. And those are the things to pursue. And sometime when we have more time to talk, I can explain that there are, I tried other things because I thought I was supposed to. And that's what I come back to, is doing the things that really work for you.
Yeah, for sure. And definitely also that idea of like being able to give in exchange what the Air Force gave for you, that scholarship money, but also being able to serve them in return. And so that's definitely really something to think about when we're also trying to go in that path that you went on.
I agree. And also for both of you that, thinking about service, my choice was military service. I grew up in a military family. I'm a strong believer that some kind of service to your community, and it doesn't have to be formal. It just means you making a difference, which I think is what the sustainability lens is all about. And so realize that service comes in many forms. So thank you.
Yeah, moving on to the next question. In your book, you describe how serving as a Capcom required you to translate highly technical information between mission control in Houston, Texas, and the astronauts in space, ensuring that the crew's perspective was understood on the ground. So how did the experience of communicating critical and complex information shape the way you think about effective science communication?
Well, it's so important to explain things in words that people can understand. And the audience changes depending on not just is it your neighbor, but I mean, it depends on which neighbor, right? It depends on who they are, but everybody, if you want to work with them as a team, everyone needs to understand what you're talking about what you're talking about. And so speaking in a language that they can understand is really important. And that's where I think of there was a set of projects in synthetic biology where different high school and then college teams would have teams that were looking at different kinds of synthetic biology. And every team was required to have someone who was the explainer, someone to explain the important work. And that doesn't mean they weren't part of the important work, but it really highlights that you can have the best idea in the whole world, but if you can't help someone else understand it so that they can actually bring the resources that you don't have, whether that's somebody else has already done that, but let's join you together, or I'd like to sponsor that. It all comes down to explaining and never giving up. I mean, and especially for me, listening to, I'm not the, physics isn't so intuitive for me. And I mean, I need not one, not two, but more than 3 answers for physics explanations.
Wow, thank you for sharing. Now for the next question.
You described learning early in your EVA training that NASA planned to remove small suits and extra large suits as a cost-saving measure. You wore a size small, so how was that experience for you, and what did you learn about adaptability and inclusion in a high-stakes environment?
Well, it was devastating when they made that decision. And I remember the explanation to the astronaut office was, don't worry. And because it affected about 1/3 of the women and probably some smaller guys as well, who all wore the small spacesuit. And I'd already been on 2 missions where I wore that small spacesuit and I had above average grades certainly in training, but had really established myself as someone who could do spacewalking. But a bigger suit is just a really, really big deal. It's just physically very much more difficult. And what they said in that meeting really impacted me. They said, but don't worry. We've looked ahead at the manifest, and we have all of the spacewalkers that we need. And what that said to me was, like, I'm not going to get to do that, and neither are a bunch of people that I know that are so capable, and you're not going to miss us. And I have to say that the people who were saying that, I don't think that this decision was fully researched. I don't think that they understood the implications. It meant that many of the women not only could not go to the space station, they certainly couldn't go to the space station, but it meant they couldn't go to space at all. And so you've trained all these people and they can't go. And so the last part of the question, and I know we're having a long answer here, but the other ones I promise can be shorter, but this is an important one. And that is that I think of making change as sitting on a bench. Okay, and there's different places on the bench. And you can be on this end here where you say, hey, you knew how big I was. You measured me. You knew me. You know how many of us are this size. And where are the space? How could you not have spacesuits for us? And the answer would be, well, you're right. We should. So why don't you just wait there on the bench, and when we have those spacesuits, we will come and get you. And I would have still been waiting. Okay? Or you could be on this end of the bench where I say, I am really determined to do this and to fit in the medium suit, qualify, and go and live and work on that space station. And I recruited a lot of help. I asked for help. I listened to help. I worked really hard. I did not do this alone. And I worked really hard to have the people who are making decisions, understand why it was important to accommodate some of the things that I needed for spacewalking so that I could be a spacewalker. So it comes down to what we were just talking about the importance of explaining things to people in terms they can understand. And I think, later people began to realize that this really impacted the entire NASA astronaut workforce in terms of who we had available for missions. And I was very proud to qualify in that suit, and that's why I got to go to the International Space Station, was because I worked on doing that, and I certainly did that with lots of help.
Yeah, that sounds like it would be a terrible experience at first when you find out.
Well, it's really hard. And at the same time, it's also something I've learned so much about. And actually, all of you could take a look out there in the world. Everything from the way we decide whether cars are safe and how the seatbelts, land in a car. In most cars, seatbelts hit me right here. Many things are designed actually for about half of the population, and that population does not include the people with smaller frames.
Yeah, so you've said before that when NASA's Artemis program sends the first woman to walk on the moon, she'll do so in a redesigned spacesuit. And so can you tell us about the efforts that are underway to really redesign spacesuits to better fit the newer diversity of the space program?
We've already seen some. I mean, it's not easy to do these things, and it wasn't easy just to say, "Oh, let's keep those suits or let's redesign the spacesuit." I mean, the spacesuit is actually your personal spaceship in this shape of a person, right? Because it's got your cooling, your comm, your air. I mean, everything that you need to live, communicate, and work is inside that space. So it's not an easy thing to do, but they have been redesigning the suit. And also the astronaut office right now it's a smaller office, and it is about 40% women. And so more people are part of the decision making. And also people have been through this time. I mean, I was at NASA a while ago. My flight was back in 2010, 2011. And in that time, people have each been sort of standing up for their own sort of truth and their own things that they see in that world. A woman named Tracy Caldwell Dyson came back from her mission where she did an emergency spacewalk, and she said, "We are not training people to do spacewalks well enough. So we need to change that." And it took a lot of courage for her to say that. She said, "We just put people in the pool, and in the swimming pool where we practice, because those suits weigh 300 pounds, and we just wait and see which ones seem to be good, as opposed to actually teaching people so that they can all succeed." And so people have been speaking up, things have been changing, and I'm very encouraged that the spacesuits will accommodate more people, and that all of us have learned a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
So, when someone underestimates you, how do you turn that into motivation? And can you share some experiences that are examples of this, or that shaped your journey as a trailblazer, where in a field where women are often underrepresented?
Well, certainly the small spacesuit was part of that. And they would have spacewalking meetings where I wouldn't be invited. And it wasn't to be mean. And it's not like somebody said, "Let's not invite Katie." It just didn't, I look kind of, I'm 5'4". It's not especially small. And I think I grew up with a different idea of eye level, that I grew up with an idea to think I'm taller, bigger, I don't know. But I would, if I could, I would go to those meetings. If it fit in my schedule, I would just show up. And I would show up cheerfully. And I would, and so I think that when I get underestimated, it makes me kind of mad. And I mean, and it gives me the power to overcome my own insecurities, I would say, where I'd be like, well, they didn't invite me. Maybe I'm really not supposed to do that. And by being a little bit mad, it actually reminds me that the path forward, it's not about whether I'm mad or I'm hurt that they didn't invite me or someone underestimated me. It's about the mission. I'm here. I'm an astronaut. I need to do the best I can to contribute. And even though they don't understand that I could be a part of that and could contribute, the mission is to contribute. And then when I make it about the mission and not about how I feel, I mean, that anger helps me kind of make that transition. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I'm glad.
Yeah, so when preparing for your first ISS mission, you took the extra time to fully understand your strengths and weaknesses while training on Earth. And you also sought feedback from experienced people like astronaut Peggy Whitson. And so why was this an important step in your journey, and what did it teach you?
Well, it taught me that, asking for that kind of feedback and actually evaluating yourself, and understanding, thinking about, I mean, we all have a point of view. And basically coming forward and saying, it took a long time for me to be assigned to the space station. And I think that, Peggy as a leader was part of that conversation, and I knew that I could gain some knowledge from her. But it was a hard conversation for me and a hard conversation for her. And even if it doesn't, if it's hard, I mean, I think that you have to learn how to have hard conversations where it's not easy to hear things that that you're going to be like, wow, I guess that is a point of view I hadn't thought about how my requests or the way I am in the office, some aspects of it are difficult. So you have to be ready to hear your hard things. I've been reading a book, I think that's called How to Have Difficult Conversations. And one of the last names of the authors is Heen, H-E-E-N. Sheila Heen, I think. Anyways, I think it's interesting to learn about having hard conversations, and not everybody's, people often appreciate when you start them, because then you find out that everybody has questions.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Thank you for sharing. So I think what you've said so far is very inspirational for the younger audiences listening, especially today, who are aspiring to become astronauts, female astronauts in the future, especially. But when you were an astronaut, you balanced family life with the responsibilities of being an astronaut in a culture where asking for help was often frowned upon. But you've said that asking for help did not make you any less capable. So how did you navigate those expectations? And what does that reveal about confidence and staying true to yourself?
Well, and Prina, just let me make a note. I know I'm a long talker. I can't help but answer questions in a long way. I am happy to stay here and answer questions as long as, but I know you might have a restriction in terms of the YouTube and things like that, but it's completely up to you when we stop. And in answering that, I want to say that basically it's really important on a team to think about what you bring to the team and to think what other people bring to the team as well. And even more importantly, what people don't bring to the team. And so, and I think of myself as somebody who's often a facilitator. There's a phrase we used to use called leading from behind, but I would say it's just a different kind of leadership, where I'm somebody that can see many of the people on the team. And often, I mean, actually, I'll give you an example. It may sound like a silly one, but we'd be in training and it would get to be about 5 o'clock or 4:45, and it's clear that the class that was supposed to end at 5 is not ending at 5. And many of us are parents and we have kids to pick up from daycare. And so, and I would see, actually, and for me, actually, as a woman with a family, I felt like I couldn't afford to be that person that raised their hand and said, hey, could we stop at 5? Because I have to pick up my child. I didn't feel like I could say that, but I would look around and I would see that several of the people, many of them guys, were just kind of looking nervous at their watch, kind of thinking, and everybody's distracted from the lesson. And I would say, hey, listen, the class was supposed to start at 5, and I'm sure that most of us, have plans for our kids to be picked up, but we do need to plan if it's not going to end at the expected time. Are we going to reschedule? How do you want to do this? And by bringing that up, you would see all these people go, because actually a lot of the guys didn't have those plans.
Wow, that's such an interesting example.
So you've said that on a space mission, friendship is optional, but trust is essential. So how did you balance your personal opinions and disagreements with the need to prioritize the mission and build trust with your team? And what advice would you give on leadership and trust to anybody, no matter the field?
Well, the first word that comes up for me is vulnerability. And I have to admit that I had not thought about this in this way when I was actually part of my crew, when we were, getting ready to go to space and going to space. But sometimes I felt like I needed to share a little bit of things that were worrying me, or that I worried about, and that would help my crewmates understand that I was up for those conversations. And I think you might think that in order to have that trust, you have to have that trust before you can be vulnerable to each other. But I would suggest, and I have learned really, that behavior for me was essentially showing that vulnerability so that then my crewmates could understand that their vulnerabilities could be on the table as well. And that together we could support each other. And ironically, there's a podcast called Work Life by Adam Grant, and he interviewed me and my crew. And I had never thought about that word vulnerability until it showed up in his podcast about our crew. And it was really interesting to me because I'd certainly thought about our relationships and how we, as a crew of 3 people, we had my Italian crewmate was like somebody who just gestures and this that, and he and I thought a lot the same, and our Russian crewmate was much quieter and had not really worked with women, and we had to figure out how to together make a crew. And in that podcast, somebody who really only interviewed for us for a little bit, from their world was able to have insights that I'd never had from mine. So I really think that listening to different people and their insights in different fields can help you have insight into your own.
Yeah, I think that's applicable to everybody, no matter who they are.
Me too.
Thank you for that advice. And moving on to the next question. In 1968, the Apollo 8 crew captured the Sorry, 1 second.
That's okay. And would it be easier if I started, Karina?
Oh, 1 second, sorry.
So I was thinking you might be leading up to what we actually talked about in some of our email.
Wait, I can try speaking without the mic. I think it'll work better.
Oh, I can hear you.
Okay.
You might need it for the live stream, Karina.
I have a mic here. Yeah, I have a podcasting mic right here. So I was saying, in 1968, the Apollo 8 crew captured the first color image of Earth, known as Earthrise. And astronaut Bill Anders, who took the photo, said, "We came all this way to explore the moon, and the most important thing is that we discovered the Earth." In your book, you've also talked about the magnificent view of the Earth from the windows of the cupola on the ISS. So how has that perspective of being able to see the Earth from that lens shaped your understanding of the need to protect our home planet and the role we all can play?
Some of these lessons, I have to say, came to me both from looking out at the Earth, but also from the perspective of my crewmate, Ron Guerin, who really taught me a lot about trying to make change down on Earth when it just seems impossible to do. And yet, because, how can each of us, make a difference when these problems like climate change, like having enough data about our Earth to understand climate change, or even, not just climate change, but people and their lives and their livelihoods and whether they have enough food and education, all of these issues are so big. How can we, each of us, contribute to them? And I think that view is really great at reminding us that is true. And Parina, I'm just going to share my screen really quickly. There we go. Because I want to show you, and I was hoping that we would have a question like this. I want to show you a little bit about that view and what I think the most important part of it is. And that is, let's see if I can, that looking at the Earth, you see how close we are to the Earth, and this was the window, the cupola that we look out of. And there's the view, and everyone talks about the view, but something that's really, and here it is, I'm looking back at Boston, where I come from, and every time you'd think I saw this thousands of times, right, from the space station, and yet every time it's different, with it in a different light, at a different time. There's Cape Cod, and it's so beautiful. And here is a picture of looking down at the Finger Lakes. We just captured with the robotic arm this supply ship, and in the background there, at the back end of the supply ship, you can see Long Island, you can see the Hudson River, and right under it, on the bottom, you can see the Finger Lakes, where the they signed the Declaration of Sentiments, where women, it was about women's rights. And so I thought it was really interesting that the first two people to capture supply ships from the space station were women. So a view can tell you many, many things if you just look. And that's why this perspective depends on every one of us. It's not just about the window and the view, it's our perspective on that. This is Tracy Caldwell looking out at the earth. I think it's the epitome of a person and their relationship with the earth. And it was the only person that thought to take this picture. It's a self-portrait. And she taught everyone so much just by taking this picture. And now we have so many more perspectives of different people looking out. And when I see these pictures, I think of you. I think of you and each of you with your perspective, your view, the knowledge you have, the experience you have in your family life, in your school life, in your work life. Each of you brings a perspective to how we see our earth and how we address these problems, where basically the thing about a mission is that it's so much bigger than you, but it can actually depend on you. And you read in the papers about different people that have made a difference. And it's not that the goal is to be in the papers, but every one of us can actually make a difference. And I leave you these last couple of slides right here, which is that, it comes from changing your perspective and trying to really try on and experience the perspective of others. And in this picture, it's really easy to see Naoko and Dottie down there on the bottom, but you have to kind of turn your head. And I want you to sort of like change your perspective, turn your head, and then you see two people up top. Well, here they are. Okay, this is Tracy and Stephanie, but we were so used to looking at things up and down, we didn't even really see them. And so I'll stop sharing my screen here. My point about the earth and how important our role is that every one of us is, and do you see me now? Did we stop sharing the screen? Yeah, okay, great. Every one of us has our own, sorry, I'm getting back to where I can sort of see too. Every one of us has our own point of view, and it is a valuable one. And you don't have to have been selected for, some amazing job like being an astronaut. I mean, your perspective is valuable in itself to contributing to solving problems because it is unique and you are unique.
Thank you for that. That was very insightful. Thank you for sharing those images once again. And I think it's very true that all of our perspectives matter.
Agreed.
So, what do you hope people, especially younger people, such as those in our audience today, learn from reading Sharing Space?
Not everybody is like this, but for me, when I find out that I often can be fairly critical of myself and how I'm doing and whether I'm doing as well as I could be. And I'll give you an example. I didn't grow up as an athlete. I was a later in life, starting in college athlete, like never volleyball, basketball, all those things. I was just like it just didn't happen. They said anybody could try out and be on the track team, and then they decided maybe not everyone. And so I became an athlete later in life. And I would be running a race, and I turned out to be actually a pretty good athlete. And I'd be running a race, and I mean, I just felt terrible. I'd just be running, and it just felt awful. And then I would get to the end of the race, and I would have actually achieved a great time or maybe a great place. And I would realize that I felt terrible because I was running really hard, and I was running a really great race. And so for me, I need that reassurance sometimes, like, hey, it may be hard, but it's because this is not an easy situation. And that's a long answer to say that I hope that my book, Sharing Space, is something that can encourage people by reading my stories that talk about some things that were difficult for me, my thoughts on how I did well, how I didn't do well, what I learned doing that. And I think they're in the frame of lots of cool stories, a little bit growing up and a little bit in school and a lot up in space. And I think it's easy to understand that when you have this job as an astronaut, it's more important than whether you feel bad or wish you were better or all those kinds of things. You have this job and you have to make it work to the best of your capability. And the way I do that is by keeping the mission in mind And I hope that that is one of the lessons that really comes out to people, is that if you keep the mission in mind, I think it helps you appreciate the talents that you yourself bring to the mission. And I hope that my book, by sharing those stories, will help everyone see themselves a little bit differently and realize that they are part of the crew. All of us are part of the crew of Spaceship Earth. And as my crewmate Ron Guerin would say, and we can't just be passengers. We have to be the crew, and all of us have to contribute.
Yeah, I think there's something in there for everybody.
I hope so. And I think, it doesn't happen in one sitting, and read other people. I think I've maybe emphasized, read other people's books, listen to podcasts, listen to the news, listen to your leaders speak and decide whether you like the way they are solving problems or not. Listen and realize that your perspective is a valuable one, and continue collecting perspectives, including your own. I would tell you, I'm not good at this. But I'm very proud that our two kids are both people who keep journals. And they certainly did not get that from their mother. But I think there's really some, and I've never read them. There's really something to be gained by writing some things down as if no one will ever read them, and sort of thinking about the things thinking about you. And it's something I think you won't regret.
Thank you.
Thanks.
The acceptance rate for becoming a NASA astronaut is less than 1%. To put that into perspective, it's easier to get into Harvard with a 3.5 acceptance rate. So, given the challenges and the challenging goal, what advice would you give to someone who's willing to overcome those obstacles and pursue a career as an astronaut?
Well, I would just as soon not stick just to astronaut. Not because, like, oh, not many people will get to do it, but more, everyone has sort of their astronaut job, their thing that they inside want to do, think they could do, and realize that it just doesn't happen. Whether it's to be, a singer, a songwriter, a writer, an artist, an engineer that makes a great invention. Everyone has those things, and the odds are slim. Okay, right? And it all starts. Every one of those careers starts with getting prepared and filling out an application. And my advice to you is, I did just talk about the journal thing, but sometimes when you fill out an application, whether it's for an internship or to work someplace that you'd like to find out more about what it's like to work there, or whether it's for college, write down, I'm going to say at night, okay, but just certainly one day, write down things that you are proud of, everything that you are proud of. Think back. And also kind of think back to why did you accomplish that? How did you accomplish that? And write that list as if no one else is going to look at it except for you. Okay? No one's going to see it. And give every example. And then the next day, look at that list and look at how many things don't need to be on an application. I mean, think about what the people who are going to read your application, whether it's online or on paper, what kinds of things would you like them to know about you so that they understand you should be on their team? And I guarantee you, 90% of that list probably needs to be on that application. And don't be shy about extra pages. I mean, always be concise, right? But always explain. And this gets back to your very first question about explaining, I think it was the first, but like trying to explain things in terms people can understand. I'm going to say that if you want to be an astronaut, and you're going to tell me your work history, and you tell me that you're an astrophysics person that is working on X, Y, or Z, the first sentence should explain to me as if I don't know anything about astrophysics, as if I am your neighbor that knows nothing about astrophysics, okay? And explain what it is and why it's important. And the second part, then you can go a little deeper. And the third part, you can explain some nitty-gritty kind of stuff. But realize that if I'm going to read about astrophysics, I need to understand, you need to explain it to me, because I'm not an expert. I'm more of a chemist, right? And if it's a different kind of chemistry, I still need that explanation. So on your applications, make sure you explain to people why they should have you on your team. And I think about the curve. I mean, now when you apply for colleges, there's this curve that shows you your scores, where you are. And the deal is that on that curve, there are numbers under every single bit of that curve, and you can be one. But you have to probably tell them why you should be there. So that's my lecture. Okay.
Thank you. This is very helpful for a lot of people who want to become astronauts in the future and any other career, like you said, in the space industry. So this brings us to the end of our interview session where we ask you questions, but now we can open it up to an audience Q&A. So raise your hand if you guys have any questions. We're gonna take about 2 to 3, given the limited time. So I saw your hand first. You come up directly to the mic and talk in the microphone. You can come from this. You can come from this. Yeah.
Hi. So I'm going to ask a question on behalf of my child, and he's very much into solar system. And before coming, she asked me, "Mommy, how astronauts look like?" So she's very excited. You want to say hello? Hello.
Hello. I'm so glad you
Can
said
you hear me?
hello.
Can you hear me back?
Now, but I didn't quite hear the question.
Oh, great.
I can see you guys.
Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Can you hear me better now? Okay, great. So our question is that my little one knows all about the solar system. She knows the Soyuz. And how many windows in Copula? 7. So yeah, my point is that she's actually and she watched the documentaries on YouTube about the Soyuz. And our question is that, do you guide any live experience where we can explore in that some event comes, some
I'm having trouble hearing. Hello? Yes, I have you. I have you.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can. Can you repeat that question? Because I just could not quite understand it.
Yes. Sorry. Okay.
yeah.
No, yeah.
What are the live experience in Bay Area we can explore for the little one who are interested in the astronomer? The live experience in Bay Area. Do you know any resources, please, that we can
In the
go
Bay
and
Area? You know, actually, someplace that's actually really great in the Bay Area is in Oakland. I want to say it's called the Exploratorium. No, it is called the Chabot Science Center, and that is a really cool place to learn about space. They have these great exhibits and just the way they have organized things and all sorts of really cool things about space. So I would go there, but also the Ames Research Center, NASA's Research Center is there, and that's probably a pretty cool tour to go on. But I say that you can find things to explore. Just learning about space is about learning about Earth. And I think it's really exciting, and I think that it's really important, especially to see things that show a person like you. And so finding books that show girls, finding books that show boys, because both girls and boys will be going to space. Thanks.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for your brave question.
Thank you. Okay, the next person can come on up. Yeah, say your name and your question.
My name is Dan.
Come closer to this mic. Come closer.
My name is Daniel. Oh, and I was wondering, what is the largest black hole ever?
Daniel, I actually have no idea. And I think the place that I would go to find out is the Chandra X-ray Observatory website. And I think it's something like chandra.harvard.edu. But if you just look up Chandra X-ray, you will find it. They have really cool explanations. And I would, if you don't see what you are thinking about there, I would actually, I think there's probably a way to write in with questions. But they're a really cool website because they also do things like sonifications of black holes. And of course, I think that Chandra is like the best telescope, but the Chandra is part of a family of telescopes of different kinds of light. And then it's kind of like the different instruments in an orchestra, and all together they make, they make one picture or one sound. So I would go to that website, or I would look up, and actually you might even, I hate to say it, but you might even ask, might even ask AI about that, about what's the biggest black hole, because I'll bet you people have written about it. Thanks for your question, Daniel.
Okay.
Thank you. The next person, say your name and the question. You can come closer.
My name is Shaina, and what obstacles do you have to complete to become an astronaut?
Well, the first one is to realize that every astronaut is something else first. And so the first thing you need to do is do your best in school. And sometimes you have to start your best every day. You don't always do your best, but you just start again the next day and do your best. Do your best in school. And you might think, I mean, of course we want to study science and math, but also reading and writing and art and explaining and practicing explaining things to your friends. So it definitely, I mean, astronauts end up spending a lot of time actually writing email on about, maybe how an experiment went, or writing a paper about how an experiment went. And often we get to the bottom and we realize, oh, we have to, maybe now that we wrote that, it's kind of long, it's hard to read, maybe I have to rewrite it. So reading and writing are things that astronauts have to be really, really good at so that we can do our whole job. So I would practice on those things and realize that whatever kind of speaks to you inside, like, oh, I like this, and you don't have to decide for a long time. That's going to be the thing you want to work on more, but that's a little ways from now. And for right now, just learn everything you can and realize that it has to include science, math, and reading and writing. And I'm going to throw foreign languages in there too, because we live on a big planet and you'll want to meet other people and friends.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Shaina. Next person, say your name and the question, and you can come closer to the mic.
I'm Raya, and how long did it take to exit the atmosphere?
Oh. I'm not going to have an exact time, Raya. But it takes from the time we launch to the time we get up into space, and we're about 250 miles or about 400 kilometers above the Earth. It takes 8.5 minutes. Which
So,
I think is pretty short. But go ahead.
Like as much as the light meets Earth?
It's actually it's way slower than that, I would say. Yeah, it's way, 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 way slower than that. But it takes us about 8.5 minutes to get up there, which you might think it would take a long time to get to space. But we have to get up there kind of without stopping, and then we end up, when the engines shut off, we're going just fast enough to stay in orbit around the Earth.
Oh,
Thank you. Thank you.
Sure.
thanks.
My name is Aishwarya, and I want to know, like, when is the time that you knew you wanted to do this, and like when you wanted to be an astronaut?
The time was when I was about 21 years old, and I had been in college for a couple of years, and Dr. Sally Ride came and spoke at our college, and I just remember that she when I looked at her, she just kind of seemed a little bit like me. I mean, we have like the same color hair, and we're not very tall, but we're not super tall, we're not super short, and she seemed a little bit shy, and I was a little bit shy, and so I just thought, well, boy, somebody like me, somebody like her can be an astronaut. Maybe I could try to be that. So I was an adult, but part of that was because when I would read books and watch TV, I didn't get to see myself in those pictures because in the history of those things, there's been a lot of guys, and most of the pictures have guys in them. And so I'm hoping that for you, when you read a book about space, I know that a lot of times you're going to see both men and women and people that look just like you. And it's so important, I think. And just realize that if you don't, well, maybe you'll be the person being in somebody else's book and showing them that they could be an astronaut.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sharanya has
One last question.
and then we'll draw the raffle. So please stay if you want to.
My name is Sharanya, and my question is, when you were leaving Earth and going into space, how did the altitude affect you?
Well, the altitude in terms of like when you go up in the mountains here on Earth and then it's kind of hard to climb a mountain, is that the kind of altitude that you mean?
Yeah.
So that doesn't affect us very much because when you climb a mountain here on Earth, the atmosphere is thinner and thinner, less and less oxygen, right? But we're in our spaceship. And we control, just like you control in your house or they control in an airplane, we control the atmosphere so that we have the same amount of oxygen as when we left the Earth. And so we're not affected by the altitude. I will say that we are affected by the sort of floating around, and because that actually makes us, many of us, pretty nauseous. And I know it's not any fun to be sick down here on Earth, and it's kind of not fun to be sick up in space either, but just like on Earth, when you think, oh, I don't feel very well, you just make sure you're kind of in a place where you can maybe not make too much of a mess. And we have really cool bags that we get sick in if we get sick, and they have little handkerchiefs on them so we could be like this, it doesn't go everywhere. And we practice, and we also have to not be shy about saying, oh, I don't feel very well, can you help me? Can you help me make sure I don't make a big mess? So sometimes some of us are sick, just in case there's some of you that and also if it turns out that you are somebody that gets sick on a boat, or you get sick in the car, or all those kinds of things, you can still be an astronaut. Because I certainly get sick on boats, but it has nothing to do with how you do on Earth. So don't let having a little queasy stomach sometimes, don't let that affect being an astronaut or whatever else you want to be, because often we have medicine for that too, and you can still do all those things.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh yeah, I can show you the audience one more time just to say bye.
Okay, that would be great, and you can show me, and I can actually tell them about a special little drawing. I know you're going to have a drawing there for books, but I have a drawing too. Not today, but I want to give them a heads up they could be part of it.
Sure.
Okay.
So.
Whoa! Hey, hi! Oh, it's so cool to see everybody. Oh, this is a packed house. Hey, thanks so much. I know it's terrible weather out there, and I'm so glad that everybody came. And I know we didn't get to too many questions. Feel free to ask me questions on the social media. But here's something that I'm doing, which is that I'm going to have a drawing to have virtual coffee or juice or whatever is your preference there with me. If you read my book, and you don't have to buy it, you can go to the library. I love the library. I worked at the library for many years when I was growing up. But you can borrow a friend's. You don't have to read the whole book, but if you read part of the book, or your parents read part of the book to you, and you have some thoughts about whether you liked it or what you thought was weird or good or whatever your thoughts are, if you share those thoughts on social media, or if you write a review, just let me know that you did that. Then if you share thoughts with me about what you thought about the book, then your name will be entered in a drawing. We're going to have that drawing on January 19th, which is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. We're going to have that drawing, and we'll figure out a time that a bunch of us will have virtual coffee together, kind of like today, where we're just going to do sort of like probably a couple minutes of slides, and then We'll talk about questions and answers. And you can also ask me questions in my social media. I'm really happy to answer them.
That
Thanks for
sounds
coming
really
today.
interesting. I'm sure a lot of us will be joining.
Yay, do it, do it.
Thank you. And now, just before we end off, I would like to give the winners the raffle prizes and choose the winners out of our little box here for these 2 copies of Sharing Space. So, donated kindly by Barnes & Noble's Dublin.
Yay, so glad.
So we have an audience member currently pulling. Sahiba.
So Sahiba is a lucky winner.
Yay.
Camera.
Sahiba, congratulations. Yay.
Now we have one more.
We have one more winner.
Do you want to come and pull the name? Mix it up.
This is so fun.
Janvi I.
John V.I.
Yay. So glad.
Janvi, can I take a picture? And who's the other winner?
Wait, look at the camera, John
Can you
V.
look at the camera here too?
Wait, look at the camera.
Right to me, Shanvi. Cool.
Yeah. Can I have both of you in the picture? Yeah.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah, big round of applause.
Yay. I want to tell people, don't be shy in terms of reading the book. I mean, you can start at the appendix, which is, first of all about the toilet. Kind of cool. Can I show you a picture real quick, Karina, or do we have to go? Yeah?
You can show a picture, yeah.
Okay, give me 1 second. But the first thing is about, I'm just going to find it really quick because it's at the bottom here. But I just think it's kind of cool to understand what it looks like. And, and that's where we have those kind of like difficult conversation things, right? And here we are going to share it right here. Window. I'm getting better at this. Okay. So that is the toilet. See the blue hose on the right there? This blue hose, that in the yellow funnel up on the top, that is for peeing, okay? And so everything, basically all of us can, upside down, right side up, we can point that our way and we can pee. It's easier than any camping trip you've ever been on. And then down here, and let's see if I can get this to go here. Let's see. It's going to go there. There we go. Down here is the toilet itself. And over that, there's like a little plastic bag. Let me see if I can get it. Let's see if I can do it right here. There we go. You're going to see it. Here we go. Almost. Oh, there we go. So you look down, you can see there's a kind of a little plastic bag in there. Remember, everything was weightless, so we have to find a way to make it go where it needs to go, and we use vacuum. Do not try this at home. I'm looking at all of you. I am looking right here in your eyes. Do not try this at home. Very special space vacuum. But it's not like a big vacuum, like, ooh, it's a really slow kind of vacuum. And let's see if we can show you. See, you can see how things just kind of, I let them go. Those are M&Ms just to demonstrate, right? And there's nothing yucky in there, but everything that is kind of like, dirty and yucky is paper, everything goes in there. And when we're done, we kind of pull up on the little red thing there. And so you can see how everything goes in there. And so when we're done, we pull up on the little red tab and the bag closes and we push it down below. And now on my missions, I never have to see that again because I close the top and we burn up that trash. But you may be going to Mars or the moon and you might need all of that for fertilizer, which sounds kind of gross, but you'll be really happy about growing fresh fruit up in space. But this just shows you how the toilet works. And I think it's kind of a nice way to end our discussion. But you can start any part of the book, and there's no pressure to read it. Read it whenever it works for you. And there's also a section at the end about how to see the space station in the night sky. And I just want to show you a little demo really quick. When it goes across the sky, it's not going to go like this. It's not whizzing. It's going really fast, but it's going to look like this. just kind of going. You're going to look in the right place at the right time, and the apps will tell you. And then you can see the space station going across the sky, and people just like you are inside that space station, working and living in space.
Thank you so much for sharing. I think that's the first thought everyone has when they think of going to space.
Thanks very much. Farina, congratulations on such a great event. I'm so proud of you guys. I know it's really difficult to put these things on. So can we have a big hand for Farina and her team?
Thank you so much. Thank you.
It's hard to do. It's hard to be that person. And Farina, thank you for making this possible for all of us.
Thank you so much for coming, and we really liked you being here, and we're glad that you could join us and enjoy the insights that Dr. Katie Coleman has to share with everyone.
And we'll share the information about her coffee chat.
Yes, we'll share the information about her book and her coffee chat in a follow-up email, so just keep on lookout for that. So thank you so much once again.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for your time, Dr. Coleman.
Thank you. Well, thank you. Great. This was complicated. It was hard, and it was awesome.
Thank you.
Can we go here? Let's have a little picture. Can we do that? Should we do that? Here we go. Should we have your other question asker too? Yeah, the three of you join in, and I'm going to take a picture. Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Maybe others want to come here. Do you want to come here for a picture?
Okay.
If you guys want to come here for a picture, you can stand right here.
Stand next to us.
Oh, you can show your book.
Oh, cool. Okay. Ready?
Guys, make sure you're in the camera.
Come closer. Don't feel afraid. Come closer.
Let's see.
Wait, let's like.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
Can you hold this?
Wait here. Sorry. Wait.
So everyone stand.
Show it lower that way.
No, I think we need the screen. We need the photo.
Oh, this is a bunch of you. I see Daniel. Daniel, I'm sorry I didn't have an answer to your question. Oh, cool.
Can you hold this straight?
I see a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I see your
Yeah.
sustainability lens.
Yes.
Yes, that's our poster.
There were 150 people in the room.
Oh.
There were.
And I'll just send you all the screenshots, Karina. And congratulations to you and your team.
Thank you.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure. Go ahead.
How long did it take you to get into NASA?
Well, I guess it took. I got accepted my very first time, but I spent a lot of time preparing, and I think that also I applied at a time when they hired several scientists, and the next time they hired my kind of scientist was many years later. So I was really lucky to be applying just then. But it took a lot of years of school. But school is like a learning adventure, especially after high school and college, and it's all about learning things and learning how you learn. And so even though it sounds like a long time, I went to school for high school, so that's 12 years, and I went to graduate school. No, I went to college, that's 4 years, and then I went to graduate school, that's 5. So what is that? 21 years. It sounds like a long time, but it's all about a learning adventure. And and you're one of the people that won the book, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Here, I'm gonna take our picture. Hold on a second. Ready? Hold the book up. Here we go. Before, but now we have more. Thank you. Very nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Dr. Coleman.
Hey.
I think most of our in-person audience has left, but I'm sure the online audience is still watching. But once again, thank you so much for doing this, and we really appreciate your time.
I really
And
appreciate
everything.
it too. And I'm taking one of us. Ready?
Okay.
Oops, I did it wrong. Okay. See you later, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
We'll be in touch.